So grateful to be here and very happy to discuss these incredibly important and hard to talk about topics. He has an incredible backbone and staggering moral fiber. Howie is totally committed, completely ethical, totally admirable. No pressure if you can hear this, but honestly, Howie's a hero to me.
John, you joined us before, and it was a pretty incredible kind of testimony you gave, and you just devoted your life to advocacy for child trafficking, and even 9/11 truth. Maybe you could explain to us, in the last decade, what do you think the most challenging parts of coming alive on some of these issues have been?
Probably the hardest thing, and it continues, is just realizing that pretty much everything that I was told and taught since I was in grade school is probably not true.
Well, hello, everyone.
Good evening.
It sure is, isn't it? What a pip.
I'm in a Dracula kind of mood.
Yeah. As London burns.
Still burning?
Yeah, apparently that building was better built than the towers on 9/11. So yes, it can withstand hours of flame.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. What's going on?
So much has been happening, it's hard to know where to begin.
It's been a hell of a week. I went from feeling the best I've felt on this show, which was Becky's appearance, to probably as bad as I felt in the last few days with everything that's gone on. So that's where I've been at. But I'm sure you guys were along for the ride. So, we've all had a interesting few days.
So much is happening even in the course of a single afternoon. It's overwhelming.
You can say that again.
Yeah, I guess I could.
Where do we start? The child rape is where I remember getting blown up, and it's just kind of spiraled down from there.
Well, I suppose we could start with Sessions. I mean, to me, his most important testimony was made in his opening statement, but I really regret that he didn't mention his sex trafficking task force that he was organizing, 5 days ago, where he actually talked about sex exploitation, sex trafficking, child rape, and sextortion. Sextortion I found to be, his acknowledgement of brownstoning. Of course, I'm looking at tea leaves wanting that to be true, but I feel like he's on our side.
Well, comparing what former attorney generals have done in the issue of child trafficking, he's way ahead at this point. And you're talking about his remarks to the gathering in Atlanta. And
yes.
We've got a great link in there it was a great story done by, oh goodness. I'll find it eventually, but you'll see it. It's clearly marked Attorney General remarks on child trafficking in Atlanta. The website escapes my immediate brain.
Is the link in the show?
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Maybe I can see it over there. I'm a little off, so you guys will just have to bear with me.
We can just look for people who want to find it. Can just look for Jeff Sessions' Human Trafficking Task Force. I mean, it was only 5 days ago that he made that speech.
DCClothesline.com is the website, and they did a very good article. His entire speech is on video in that article, and they've excerpted it very well. And it's, in my memory, I don't think any attorney general has addressed this issue as well or at all. So
Yeah,
thank
well
you.
said.
Thank you for that, Attorney General Sessions.
I second that. Be something if you could hear us, wouldn't it?
Maybe he can.
Wasn't Loretta Lynch all over that?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. The
I
tarmac
think
meeting. They discussed
exactly.
keeping the kids safe. I got it.
Wasn't she talking to Bill on the plane about that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but they were talking about how he would not get prosecuted for it, not how to stop it.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's probably what they were talking about.
Oh wait, that was grandkids and golf, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Two pursuits that they enjoy on Orgy Island, I'm sure. God.
Eric Holder could get guns to Mexico that killed our agents, our federal
Fast and
agents.
Furious.
Fast and Furious, but not a word about child trafficking. Not a word. Thank you.
I don't remember it ever coming up.
He was rated. One of the watchdog organizations rated him like one of the worst. and oh yeah, he wanted to ease up the obscenity laws to put some loopholes in the child porn. So thank you, Attorney General Holder, wherever you are. Hopefully he'll be on the indictment list when it comes out.
Have you heard something about an indictment list, or are we just hoping?
There's a lot of rumors going around. A lot of rumors.
True that.
You can't. But I tell you what, and judging from Sessions' demeanor today, he's just about had it with the pedophiles, with Congress, with I really think he's just trying to do his job. He's an honorable man. I don't agree with him on a lot of different areas. But as far as the child trafficking goes and what he's trying to do and enforce the law, I'm 1,000% behind him. And I think he's had it with this. And I think they've just pissed off the wrong guy. And hopefully you do that, indictments will follow. So we'll see.
Amen. Amen to that.
Amen.
But, it raises another question since we're talking about personnel near the center of the biggest events of our time. Robert Mueller? I've been reading about this guy. This is not a good guy. This is a very bad man.
The Prince of fucking Darkness? I'm sorry.
His fingerprints are all over 9/11. I don't know if you know who Larry Klayman is, but he is...
Yes.
You do? Okay,
Yes,
so for those who may not know, Larry Klayman is the one who is representing dying CIA agent Dennis Montgomery, who has been trying, I think, for 2 years to get the FBI to get off their collective ass and do something with this man's blockbuster. I mean, I can't think of an adjective most explosive enough. He has millions of pages of proof, 64 thumb drives, proving mass surveillance by the government upon the people, and the worst crimes you can possibly imagine. Pedogate style.
And not only has he been trying to get the Justice Department and the FBI to do something about it, the Intelligence Committee that was meeting today in that charade of a hearing has all this information, both the House and the Senate. These guys that stood up there and we're going to get to the bottom of this, they buried Montgomery. So.
Well, they think we're retarded. It's really just that simple. And thanks to fluoride in the water, lead in the water, and what's happened to education in this country, it's probably partially true. After the C-SPAN coverage of the Sessions testimony, there were some callers who came in, and some of them, well, they weren't impressed with Sessions because he didn't talk fast enough. But one of them actually brought up, why isn't John Podesta being investigated?
A very good question.
It's not just us. There's more of us out there. That guy in Kansas, you probably don't know about our show, but God bless you. Why isn't Podesta being investigated? What is this charade? Did you see Republican Senator Tom Cotton out of Arkansas putting it in the most pithy and witty way one possibly could, which is this Jason Bourne? Are we watching a spy thriller? What is the point of this? He made a fan of me just with that. But that being said, you just said that he probably knows about the Montgomery evidence. So it's really on our side. It's a very swampy time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we were talking about this earlier. Watch their actions. We'll know in a relatively short amount of time whether they're serious or whether they're not. So watch. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. My old Scottish mother taught me that. God
Well,
bless
to
her.
that point, I have to take a bite out of Kamala Harris's grandstanding bullying ass. That bitch got Yas Queen all over Twitter today after she did nothing but disrespect and harass.
They're desperate, but are you guys seeing that?
But let me
Wasserman
time out.
Schultz.
Yes,
Oh,
they're
go
desperate.
ahead. Yeah.
But I have to get this out because it's like I'm the only person on earth who knows it, besides possibly Bernie Sanders. Hey, California voters, if you are a registered indie voter, and by the way, that was over 4 million of all registered California voters. By the way, that was almost 24% of all registered California voters. If you woke up a week before the election and realized your ballot wasn't going to have a choice for president on it, and you pressed your suit to have extended re-registration possible so you could vote in the primary, Kamala fucking Harris wrote the brief denying all of you your chance for extended re-registration. And then you made her a senator. What in the hell? Is no one doing homework but us? It can't be true. Please someone tweet at us and tell me something that I don't know.
You think if you were in that 24%, you'd at least know about it, but I doubt that. I doubt
Well,
they
because
do.
people don't dig past the surface.
Mhm.
She's an operative from Operative Town. I mean, California is a kingdom for these pricks.
It's
And that also brings me back
like you
to Bernie
said,
Sanders, which isn't the focus of our program, but we're talking about collusion and scandal. If I effing knew about that, he knew about it. And as a matter of fact, I tried to tell him. I told his lieutenants. I told people working in his campaign. I called his effing office. You think Bernie wasn't a sheepdog now? I'm real sorry, guys.
Yeah. Well, I don't trust Bernie Sanders. I don't trust Elizabeth Warren. I don't trust, like I said last week, and I've got no reason to change that. I wouldn't piss on all of them if they were on fire. Both sides of the aisle, there's a few good people that are in that Congress, but their numbers are very few, and the majority of them just can't be trusted, and they won't be trusted until some action is taken. And I heard it by a guy that was much smarter than me, that has done a lot of research, that every condition that a society has before a revolution occurs is present right now, here and now, right now, as we're talking. So, I don't know how long they've got before they show people that they're serious before all hell breaks loose.
Have you seen the new Oath Keepers ad?
No, but
I don't know
one.
whom. God bless you. Well, there's one out today. I don't know who made it. Who knows who makes most of this material flying around? But it's basically an ad about human trafficking. If you're not going to stop it, we will.
Awesome.
It's a beautiful thing. But if the other Oath Keepers don't know, I'm talking to you, JT.
Well, I've been a little busy in the past few days myself, but
Who are the Oath Keepers?
They are retired fire, police, and military. It's an organization that we all took oaths when we were confirmed as whatever public officer to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And just because you retire or you're no longer active does not mean that oath has changed. And that's what the Oath Keepers are.
Okay.
God bless that.
So yeah, now, okay, I got something else I got to do, Al. I got to check the Oath Keepers website. Okay, I got it. I have to start making lists.
Indeed. So yeah, Sessions. And I guess maybe we should explain what happened with the Traffic Report 1 account and why there's now a Traffic Report 2 account. We're not being trolled. It's because...
I'll just take my little part and get over it, because I was doing the Traffic Report account, and after the just horrible exposure to the child rape videos that Twitter was allowing to be on Twitter, and
Shared,
everybody
yeah.
tweeting that and trying to get it put down, which was just, and I still can't even. I've kind of blocked out what I saw, and that's the only way. It's just,
I wish I
it's
could.
it's resurfacing tonight, as a matter of fact, just a few hours ago. But at any rate, we were trying to deal with that, and as soon as we were trying to deal with that, all of a sudden, boom, the account was suspended for automatic activity, which had happened before when we first brought the account up, but they simply call your phone number and they give you an authentication code, and it's cleared immediately. Only this time, it took 3 days and 10 support requests, some nasty notes along with the last few of those, and never did get other than a canned reply telling me to do something I'd been doing for the past 3 days, which was use their system to get a code. I never did get any response, but I eternal optimist. I tried to sign on the other day, and it asked me for a password, and I signed on. So, you tell me, was that a coincidence? How about you, Howie? What happened? I understand you had a similar experience.
I was tweeting Saturday morning, and the same exact thing happened. It just went to the screen where it said, we need to confirm your phone number. Click this and we'll call you with the code. It wasn't an option of text or call. It was just like, we will call you with the code, push the button, and went to the next page and it said, no call came. It was like, then there was a button. I didn't receive the code. I just kept pushing I didn't receive the code button, and no call came. I was able to go in and contact, support through email, and eventually 24 hours later, they said, sorry for the inconvenience. Your account's been restored.
And I was forced to reset my password for no apparent reason.
But I can't watch any videos that are put up. It comes up, media cannot be displayed. Nothing comes up.
Do you try multiple times?
No, it's the if somebody uploads like a 2-minute and 20-second video, nothing will show. Yeah, I can't see any videos. I mean, if it's like a YouTube video, I can go to YouTube, but I can't see any videos that are uploaded.
Well, so, I don't want to theorize, but the science of probability tells me that none of that was an accident, and not to mention us. Many other people, especially in the Pedogate group, are experiencing the same thing. Anybody that's investigating Seth Rich is experiencing the same thing. So this is a coordinated effort to suppress free speech. Yeah.
And for those who are experiencing that kind of censorship, there is an account on Twitter that says they're trying to put together a censorship class action suit, and that account is Free Trump Tweets.
Well,
I've yet to see anything happen with it, but they've only been around a couple of days to my knowledge, so you might want to take a look at Free Trump Tweets.
Well, I certainly will.
Well, it's time somebody does something, because, I mean, we know what's going on. I mean, there's evidence. It's all over. It's been going on for months and months and months. And
exactly. And in the middle of all that, if that wasn't bad enough, I find out that the show I'm really most honored to be a part of, which was with Becky Piercy, is being trolled on YouTube. And, also the subject of one of the shows I felt really strongly about, The Keepers, has a fake web page set up on Facebook who's allowing it, that are just trashing, they're exploiting the victims of child sexual abuse, just as Becky's trolls are doing. And I mean, I've just had it. I mean, really had it.
So, yeah. I think we're all tired because it's tiring.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I never brought this up, but I'll bring it up now, and you guys can yay or nay. What I'd like to do is repeat, since that program has bothered them so much. The true story of a brave survivor. I'd like to repeat that on Thursday.
By all means.
Just shove it where they need it shoved.
Well, part of what's so riveting about Becky's story is that even without going into what was done to her, like the direct physical crimes, her efforts to escape it and the way she was entangled in the bureaucratic net is just revolting and is just as important.
And a perfect example of how these networks work. She was fingered probably for murder, in the UK, and our infrastructure, customs, and our courts tried to get her returned to where she would be murdered and deny her asylum. And we're letting in Pakistani hackers in Congress that are hacking the entire Congress and that are being paid $160,000 a year by our tax money. I mean, and a child sex trafficking survivor is being imprisoned for 14 months, and it's just plain luck that she's out right now. I mean, come on.
JT is referring, of course, to the Awan brothers, which should be front page news around our country, but of course it isn't, because it's real news.
Not yet, it isn't.
Not yet. My God, TikTok, what's up? Let's go already. And when you see footage like what we saw on Twitter, it's happening right now.
I just want to send out some love to Becky, because I mean, that probably out of the whole thing, what made me feel the worst was seeing somebody that courageous and that innocent being trashed by these scumbags. I mean, who are these fucking people? I mean, it's bad enough, what they're doing, but.
Well, she dealt with a different situation on Sunday because somebody, I don't know if I should mention him, but I will. His name's Lift the Veil, Nathan something or other.
Yes. Yes.
He was going after Becky on, he does a live chat, and he was going after her, but he was quoting from the troll account. And I was like, and I contacted him on Twitter. I'm like, dude, like you messed up. That's not Becky. So you're attacking her based on information from a troll account. You don't even know her real account. But
nice due diligence there, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a guy with 27. So there's I'm not saying he was even trying to be malicious. Just he just messed up. But,
of all the people or content to call out, to pick on her for any reason.
Right. Well, he was going after. His whole thing. He was exposing it. The topic of the show was of Lift the Veil's show that day was he's exposing everybody. George Webb. He was exposing DeFango and a few other people, and threw Becky in.
And
these
scumbags with the fake account on YouTube, on our show, the comments are trashing George Webb and Becky, and it's like, what is going on?
I think we know what's going on.
Yeah.
When you ask the question, who are these people? I mean, you don't have to look that deeply to figure out who they are. We've got the ex-state police chief of Maine going down for assaulting a 4-year-old. He was the most decorated police chief in their history. We've got Kirk Eichenwald, who still has a platform on with Newsweek, saying he looks up tentacle porn with his kids. We've got Maine State Rep Ramon Perez passing out documents to a committee meeting that includes his porn browser windows. He's into teens apparently too. I mean, This is who they are, and
Yeah.
I'm
And
convinced
that
it's a job requirement. Convinced.
and just the atmosphere that these scumbags think they can get away with it. That's what everything we talk about. We talked about all these issues today when we were talking earlier, and it's like the culture, and wherever you look, and this horrible stuff that's going on, they all think get away with it. It's great. A teacher is molesting 3 of her students basically, but that's great. She's hot. I think they put on TMZ. It's the culture, and they're showing you what they think they can get away with their behavior.
Well, for God's sake, this is what's running France. Macron was, 14 when his married teacher preyed on him? It's not a coincidence. That's his backstory. Yeah. It's A-OK, you guys. A-OK. It's hot.
Oh. Wow. It's A-OK for some. It's funny because when my account when it happened that they wanted to confirm my phone number that I couldn't get it confirmed, what I was doing was tweeting out my Joe Biden videos that I love to tweet out so often. And it's just, you brought up Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton is in one of the videos. His nieces were involved. Joe was a little friendly with his niece, in my opinion. And Kamala Harris, Joe spent about, she had her whole family. It wasn't a very young girl, but Joe spent an inordinate amount of time with Kamala Harris at her Senate swearing in. So it's them. Tom's a Republican and Kamala's a Democrat. I don't. Like John said, watch the actions, because the words coming out of their mouth to me mean absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And just a little side note on the actions. And Jeff Sessions, I'm sure you see within your Biden collection, you see Sessions getting that kid the hell away from Biden. That's actions. I pay attention to that.
Right.
That means something.
And he also wasn't sticking around very long. Like he was doing a thing, came up. No. I mean, even before that happened, like he went to take his picture. That's what it was supposed to be. You can go back to 2009 when Dick Cheney was doing the Senate swearing in, and it's a completely different, environment. People come up, he does the swearing in. They take a picture, they move on. With Biden, depending on who's there, you can spend up to 4 to 8 minutes with people taking pictures, yucking it up with the families. I mean, so people are bringing in like 20 people, like distant relatives and stuff. Like, what is going on here? Like, what? But
the senators are offering up their children to Biden, is my take.
Well, yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's definitely what's going on. I'm just saying, when you look at, not that I'm a huge Dick Cheney fan by any stretch, but when he's doing it, he just, all right, swear you in, take a picture, and everyone walks out the door.
Well, they're different types of villains.
Oh, yeah. But he's not, right.
It's interesting you got banned for sharing that, because God knows I've seen it 1,000 times.
That's the reason my YouTube account got suspended. It's a very sensitive, it's a very sensitive subject. Sharing C-SPAN clips of C-SPAN Senate swearing in, ceremonial swearing in. Nobody would believe.
Twitter's got no idea how live child rape gets on their platform. They have everything they need for a trafficking case, and that we compiled. And but don't post anything about Pizzagate or Biden or you're gone. And that, I mean, and we know this, so that's what we're dealing with. So we're gonna do the best we can to get around it and move on.
So we have the 2 accounts now. Traffic Report 1,
yes.
Traffic Report 2. Both are legitimate, at least for now.
Yes. And I thanked Twitter when it was all over, because I can't help tweeting right at them, and I thanked them. Now we have 2 accounts to expose Twitter allowing child rape on their platform. So thank you very much. And if they're listening, thank you again. Because we're going to continue to do it.
Something good came out of me getting that happening to me on Saturday, because when I went to contact Twitter through email, my email's the one I use is on Yahoo. A story pops up, before I sign it in the mail about a baseball player. He pitches for the Oregon State Beavers, and they are in the College World Series, and he is their number one pitcher. His name is Luke Heimlich, and apparently because he is their number one pitcher, and they were going to the College World Series, and he was about to be drafted, a newspaper in Oregon decided to, do a little they wanted to do a story on him. So they ran a background check on him, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out that when he was 15, he pled guilty to molesting his six-year-old relative. I believe it's a cousin, but they obviously haven't released that information. So that was in 2012 when he was 15. He's now, 20, 21. He was initially accused. There were two charges against him because he started molesting her when she was 4, and I guess he was 13 or 14. And but it's still up in the Oregon State hasn't made a statement if they were aware of his guilty plea, or they're saying no comment to the entire thing. But,
he should run for Congress. He sounds perfect.
Yeah, well, he took himself. Once again, his name's Luke Heimlich. Mr. Heimlich took himself out of like the last game. He's after the information came out, and it's basically become like a sports debate now. Did he serve his time? Did he pay his debt to society?
Give him another chance.
Right, exactly. But they're calling him, something he did. He's calling him a sex offender. But I mean, we're talking about over a 2-year period from 13 to 15, he was molesting a 4 to 6-year-old. Now this happened in Washington, and Washington actually considers him rehabilitated. He served his probation. He was supposed to get 40 weeks in a juvenile detention center, but that sentence was suspended after he completed his program for rehabilitation. And they consider him. Well, the important thing is they consider him the lowest level type offender with very low risk of repeating an offense.
Okay. So they obviously don't know the basic minimum of any 15-year-old that's sexually abusing a 4-year-old has been abused themselves, and they're never cured of that.
Nothing about that.
Therapy at the least, and that's not the guy I'm going to allow be around any more 4-year-olds for the rest of his life. Sorry.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, once again, this happened in Washington, and now he pitches in Oregon. And there was before we came on tonight, because I've been trying to get more information, and there's a pretty good blackout on this entire thing. And the district attorney from a county in Oregon called into a radio show and basically said that he was just listening. It was a sports call, and he was like, I just want to call in here and let you know that in Oregon, if this happened in Oregon when he was 15, he would still be in prison. This is like in Oregon, it's a very the DA saying it's which it should be. In Washington, it's obviously not that serious, but they said he would still be serving his time in juvenile detention. But in Washington, he served absolutely no time, and who knows how much apparently he's a very good pitcher, and I don't know how much that played into it, but there's also I read on Deadspin that the Pac-12, which is the conference in which Oregon State plays, and they have their own network. All the big conferences have their own network. Well, the Pac-12 put out a memo to all their employees, basically how to avoid talking about Luke Heimlich. And the memo's right here, and it says, your messaging positioning. Do not engage in the discussion. I've heard about this story like everyone else. However, I'm not in a position to comment on it, and it would be inappropriate for me to do so. All I can say, it's a difficult situation for everyone involved. Potential questions you may receive. Regardless of the question, do not engage. What are your thoughts on or your perspective on this? I'm not in a position to comment. This is what they're sending out to their employees that might be asked like a question about, like who wouldn't ask about this? Like what else is going on in the Pac-12 right now? Like,
somebody that mistakenly might tell the truth.
Well, it's not that. It's just like you're not allowed to have an opinion. They don't want to talk about it. Like, go away. But this guy, the Major League Baseball draft was started yesterday, and I guess it's running all week. And he was projected to be a top 50 pick, and he has not been picked so far. So the sports people are more or less where should he be picked? What's going to happen with him? That's more important. But really, what's getting lost in all this is that this girl who's probably now 11. She's number one. She's probably been outed. People would know that it's her. That she's probably the girl, and and she also knows what happened to her for 2 years, and nothing happened to the person that did it to her. And people it's just unbelievable. So it happened. But I only came across, I was just only trying to get into my Yahoo Mail to email Twitter because they were messing with my account again. And, this pops up and this keeps happening over. And you don't have to look too far to get these kinds of stories. But this one was, I found, very, very interesting.
Yeah. Well, you've given me a little bit of a segue there when you're ready to segue.
Yeah. Unless, I know what a huge sports fan Elle is. So you might want to be talking about it, the effect, because we really care about him being drafted. At this point.
Yeah. Well, that
I prefer
email,
minor league sport, but that's not important.
That email reminds me of the performance that the national director of an organization called Learning for Life put forth when attempting to be interviewed by an investigative reporter that wrote, if you go on our show notes, that we have an article that was written, and what I thought after this week, I was like, okay, well, Lori Handrahan, who I respect tremendously and probably has the best pedophile busting website on the net, and all her writing had been writing recently about cops and child rape. And I was going to take some of the cases that she'd brought up and that concerned explorers with the police, fire department, whatever organization they were with. And that's how I got onto this topic. And within 5 or 10 minutes, I ran across this article by Jonathan Kaminsky. He's now dead. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he did, and it's in our show notes. Please read it. That's the Houston Press published it. It's called Hands-On Experience, and he was writing about the history of child rape by law enforcement officers against explorers that are riding with them or participating with the department. And he goes through the 70s with LAPD, and it just ballooned and ballooned and ballooned. And we had explorers to a lesser probably extent where I worked. But I didn't realize that the Boy Scouts of America in the 80s and before the 80s, that was the organization that organized the explorers. And as I went through this history, as from the 70s in Los Angeles under Daryl Gates, another real good guy, they started molesting these explorers, and as the cases piled up over the years, the Boy Scouts of America, to divert, I call it a shield organization, but it's to divert attention from everything that was going on with them, just the Boy Scouts, nothing to do with the explorers. They created an organization, and that hold on for 1 second here. I'm trying to get my place. That organization is Learning for Life, and it's headed up by Diane Thornton, who I've emailed. What I did, I took the most recent case of explorers being trafficked by police officers, which is Louisville. That's still in the midst of investigation and prosecution and everything else. And I started with that, and it just all ballooned out with the Boy Scouts involvement with this organization. So I started trying to investigate this organization, Learning for Life. And this wonderful reporter had and you just have to read the story. I probably won't do it justice, but he did a very good expose of that organization and what they were really not doing. And they sort of panicked around that time and responded to what they currently have, their policies and procedures. And you can go on their website. It's learningforlife.org and look at these. There's like 4 PDF documents that are just a joke and this is supposed to be the watchdog overseeing agency that lets parents know that their kids are going to be okay and they can go in these programs. And and it's not just police and fire. These programs are in industry, they're in classroom work. There's a lot of kids in these programs, and right on their website, I mean, it says pre-K to 12th grade programs for career exploring. I don't know about you, but I didn't do much career exploring in pre-K. Okay, so again, and it reminds me of the some of those organizations that were working with USA Gymnast. They're talking about 2-year-old kids being enrolled.
John,
So at any rate, try to go ahead, Howie.
John, I have the statistics. You want me to read off the statistics real quick so everybody has an idea of what
yes,
please do. So overall, there were 115 cases. This is apparently over 40 years. I don't know exactly when the first one started, but 115 cases with 163 victims. 137 were girls, 26 were boys. Criminal charges were filed in 75 of the cases. Criminal convictions, 50.
50.
Law enforcement officers, firefighters, and other advisors, 129. I guess we're in the 75 cases. It was 1 woman and 128 men. 4 of the cases got acquittals. Age of the youngest victim was 13. The longest sentence was 22 years. States happened in 28 different states. 19 lawsuits. The largest settlement was $2.75 million, and the average settlement was $500,000. So, but 163 victims, just in an Explorer program. I mean, 129, and these are the ones that reported.
Yes.
So like,
good
and
point,
what
Howie. Good point.
What are the average? What are the statistics on people that don't report? It's so
or that were forced. Actually, when you read that story, one of the first victims that he's talking about didn't report because she went to the chief of police of the department and he told her, nobody's going to believe you. You're just making it up. Her complaint went nowhere. So she's not counted. So how many of those were there? So, I mean, and obviously if it's occurring in Louisville with children last year, whatever they're doing isn't working. So at any rate, this all ballooned out, and we're going to do a show on the Boy Scouts. I found out that I didn't know about the Boy Scouts of America. They have a fireproof file locker in their headquarters, and this was in 2011. This was written, because it's in the same article. They go back into the Boy Scouts history on child abuse, and in 2011 they had 5,000 cases, at least 5,000 cases, that all the information is locked in these files at their headquarters. And we've got one of our listeners, Intellectual Muse, provided a bunch of great information on the Boy Scouts. And I told her, that's going to take an entire show. You know, but at any rate, I run across that and I find out that they're keeping all the information on these pedophiles locked up. It should be prosecuted. And just like the Catholic Church in Baltimore, who outweights the victims on their statute of limitations on a civil case, then they publish 80 priests that the diocese says molested these kids. And let me ask you guys, how many of that list do you think were ever criminally prosecuted?
I've got a bad feeling. How many?
Yeah, 0. Okay? And guess what? There is no statute of limitations on child abuse in Maryland. Okay. So that's a real good question. And it's a good question for the Boy Scouts.
That was the same thing. I mean, you're basically talking about the same thing that USA Gymnastics, they had the files locked up that the Indy Star was trying to get released. And they have to go through a judge to get these files that they were keeping on people accused. It's the same MO.
Absolutely. And that's these
they can keep. Come on, man. I mean, that's just nonsense. That's utter nonsense that an organization can keep secret files on people in their organization accused of molesting children. And that's our information. That's what. Come on, man.
And if we have, and I'm sure we've got some people listening out there that have their kids in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. You know, we see the cookie drive every year. Let's ask them, what do they have in their files on child trafficking and child rape? Okay, that's what I want to know. I don't really care about the cookies. You know, I want to know.
These poor girls selling you cookies, John.
Yeah. I won't take it up with them, Howie. I promise. It'll be people like Dr. Diane Thornton, who I sent an email to her, the national director, and Christine Falatko, who's off on maternity leave right now, but she's the director of exploring in the law enforcement area. And what I said to them in that email, I said, in regards to the recent events in Louisville where explorers were trafficked and raped, what is your involvement in that? And what are your policies and procedures? And I went right on their website and I read their policies and procedures, and they were a stopgap method that they put in 2011 and have not changed. And Howie, you looked at, they don't even have up-to-date financial records. Who does that remind you of?
2014. And I'm pretty sure that's illegal. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. If you're, huh?
What national organization does that remind you of?
Oh, you mean the organization that shall not be named, where Brian Podesta has top secret security clearance, but we're not allowed to say it?
Yeah.
Must be talking about
what is it?
National Center for Missing Exploited Children.
Bingo. And as the bile was rising in my throat as I investigated this, that's what was coming up. Nick Mick. So a lot of on here, please.
A lot of 501c3s they don't update the records. I mean,
go ahead, Howie. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying that 2016 their financial records should be out, but the what is it, Learning for Life, that their latest one is 2014. And we're already in June of 2017. Where's 15? Where's 16?
And I hope I'm not giving this away, but I really don't care if I am. But what I plan to do, because I went through their website and I'm looking at their information, like, my God, there's got to be something on here that's valid, something that actually protects a child. And from what I can tell, what they do is you go online, and anybody can do this. You don't have to. I suppose I would think the police officers have to if they want to be an official Explorer post. But anybody that wants to assist in these programs can go on their website and take this online course that they have and get a certificate that they are approved by this organization. And what I'm going to do, and I'm pretty sure that this will really expose them for what this is. I'm going to take the information from a registered sex offender that's available online. I'm going to try to get my local news station to come and watch me do it. And I'm going to apply for this online course with that information. And I bet you I get a certificate printed out in that pedophile's name. Because these people don't do background checks. They don't do anything. They're leaving it up to agencies like the Louisville Police Department to police themselves. And as of 2016 and 2017, we know that's not occurring. So what do these people even exist for? They exist to keep the heat off the Boy Scouts, so we won't ask them about the 5,000 victims files that they have locked up in their fireproof. Oh, man. So please,
Preach,
just go on
JT.
here. Please,
I think
go on here, read this, and get
JT,
involved with this.
Did you see that this week a fourth or a fifth officer was charged this week in the same
in Louisville?
In Louisville.
In Louisville. Yep. And this is I would bet dimes to donuts that they have certificates from Learning for Life, and as they're and I'm trying to get the names of these career exploring programs, and that, God, I can't even. I'm trying to get back to the PDFs. I've got it somewhere, but it's a joke. We're talking about child safety, and they're talking about how they're making the work environment safe for these children, and that's their mission statement and all this bullshit. And it's a page, and there's maybe 2 paragraphs that even make any sense. And there's no quality control, there's no oversight, and there's no background check involved. So what are they even doing? What well, it says right here, pre-K to 12 education, career development, career education, emotional maturity, and self-confidence. And how do they define student success? I don't know. Well, I don't define it. They're not having success in protecting children, as evidenced as what's going on in Louisville. And people like them and any other organizations, whatever their initials are, that are not protecting our children and doing the jobs that we're paying them to do, are going to have another thing coming. And I hope Attorney General, and I think Attorney General Sessions probably feels the same way. So
I'm going to make a plea, and I wasn't planning on doing it, but I mean, people have to, in the community, have to start. They have to realize that we are not going to solve any of these problems tweeting this stuff out or sitting around for the high profile people or politicians or anyone else to take care of this. This is literally going to be done by we the people, and at some point everyone is going to have to get together in a physical location, in public, on a street, in front of a building, and making their voices heard. And when this is going to happen, I don't know, but I believe in my heart that it is absolutely the only way that we are ever going to solve anything. And it's up to literally us.
Amen.
Does anybody remember Martin Luther King? You remember those?
I wasn't alive, but I mean, yeah.
You've seen film of the speech in Washington, and you saw how many.
The march, all the march.
Howie we're going to need that many, okay?
Yeah.
And Howie is absolutely right. We can talk all day, all night long. We can tweet. We can put stuff on Facebook, but until there are bodies in the street in front of certain organizations,
Nothing is more
Nothing's
powerful.
going to change.
I couldn't agree more. And I just want to add to that. Everyone listening is probably well aware of the Seth Rich petition, and it's become blatantly obvious that the numbers are being played with. I just had to re-sign it myself. That's only possible if they've deleted you. And I've seen the numbers change before my eyes. Mm-hmm. That said, there are still over 64,000 signatures represented there. If we could get that many people off of their chairs and outside with this. But the difficulty, of course, is in organizing it. There are so many events. There are so many events that are co-opting righteous anger. You got these insane Antifa assholes hitting horses with sticks with nails embedded in them and bike locking people in the head. It's outrageous, and it is incredibly important for a very great array of reasons that the sane get out there too. They're taking
Absolutely.
our voice. They're taking our streets. They're co-opting our rage.
I'm going.
You were in the streets today, weren't you, Howie?
Yeah, I went out. Yeah, I went out with my sign today. It was real warm today, but I hadn't been out in a couple of weeks, so it's something that I need to be doing more in Philadelphia. It's a slow grind. It's a slow grind waking people up. But I am going down to DC on the weekend of July 10th, being the 1-year anniversary of Seth Rich's
oh wow
murder. So it's hopefully have some people with me on that, and there's a few other things I want to do in DC because I can't personally. I can't do any. I feel like I can't really do anything on Twitter anyway.
Right.
If I tweet something out, who knows where it's going? Who knows what's? It's just a constant struggle. So.
Howie, for people who want to coordinate with you about July 10th, are we going with your? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can just contact me on Twitter. Just contact me on Twitter, PG.
And our YouTube page is another place that we should be looking for commentary and people who perhaps want to take part in something. Because we already know half the show has been about how Twitter's, shutting the windows on us.
And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people across the country doing a lot of different things. But you know what? There's only one day that's the anniversary of Seth Rich's murder, okay? And there's only one place that happened, and that's Washington, D.C. So I would think that anniversary and that location needs to be visited by as many people as possible.
I want to be right in Bloomingdale, right at the corner where it happened. And, even if it's not, a ton of people, it's just, we need just to be, to have it symbolic that, this isn't going away. People aren't forgetting about it. People aren't scared. So,
well, I'm behind you 1,000%. And I think anybody that listens to us will be too.
I love company.
Well, if I can get my old broken down ass over there,
honestly, I want to go
around in a wheelchair.
I want to go everywhere. Now I want to go to. I want to go to the College World Series, and it's like, come on, man! Like this guy isn't this baseball his pitcher. He's not a sex offender. He molested a 4-year-old girl. Yeah. Oh, come on, man!
I saw you at the NBA playoffs. Oh, maybe that was photoshopped. I don't know. I thought you got tickets, but he was there. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right. Until next time.
Bye.